Let's get the roots ready now. We don't need this entire layout builder as we are using one blog file for both mobile and web. So I'm just gonna delete this part and call the blog page. We also cannot forget about testing if the value of isWeb is correct. That is, checking if the values false and true appear according to the changes of the width by printing it. To see the result, we need to run it on the web and then navigate to the blog page. Alright, so you sure have noticed that in the console the word false is printed. And as I am slowly expanding the Chrome page, the word true starts to appear. Great! Now, as there are some differences between the UI of the mobile and the web UI, we will use the isWeb variable to determine the values of some properties. Let's remove this print line then, as it's not gonna be useful anymore. And we want to take up as little space as possible. Next, let's scroll down to the nested scroll view and make the center title true for mobile, but false for web. So this means that if isWeb is true, then center title will be false, else it's gonna be true. Also, over here in the horizontal property, if isWeb is true, then the value needs to be 7.0, or else it's gonna be 4.0. Moving on to the size property now. If isWeb is true, then the value will be 30.0, or else it will be 24.0. Scrolling down to the expanded height widget, we can observe that we still have to write if isWeb is true, then the value will be 500.0, else it needs to be 400.0. Now that we are done with this one, let's scroll down to the blog post. And first, here we need to pass the isWeb variable. So let's write final isWeb, and then over here write required this dot isWeb. Then let's scroll down a little bit to copy this entire edge inset line and delete the const, as the padding is not constant and it's going to change based on the size of the device. So if isWeb is true, then let's paste the edge insets only and change its values to 70.0, 70.0, and 40.0 respectively. And if it's false, then the other edge insets will be returned. Also, let's not forget to add the widget dot. Next, let's scroll up where we have called the blog post and pass the isWeb variable. I'm gonna restart the app now and wait for it to load. And everything works just as it should. Great! Now, since we don't need the blog mobile and blog web, let's go ahead and delete the files. I'm gonna start with the file for the web. It's showing here that the blog web is in use somewhere else, but let's delete it anyway. So in the roots, it's still imported, but we want to remove this line as it's obviously no longer needed. As we're already here, I'm also gonna delete the line for the mobile. And finally, let's delete the block mobile.